My name is Mrs. White, and today we will be talking about prime factorization. So, the goal of this lesson today is to do a prime factorization tree or prime factorization apple tree. Now, the goal of the apple tree is to get all of the apples, which will be our prime numbers, at the bottom of the tree to feed the squirrels. Great, here we go. First, we need to figure out what is prime factorization, right? So prime factorization is the list of the integers prime factors. Now, the process of determining these prime factors is called factorization. But first, we have to figure out what is a prime number. So a prime number is a number that can be divided evenly by one or itself. So it's only a number that can be divided evenly by one in itself. And then a prime number have to be greater than one. So with that in mind, is 0 a prime number? Great. No, it's not. What about the number 1? Is 1 a prime number? That's a little tough one, right? Perfect. 1 is not a prime number. Remember, prime number has to be greater than 1. Now, let's go over some examples of some prime numbers. So one example of a prime number is 2. The number 2 cannot be multiplied or divided by any other number other than 2 and itself. Well, 2 and 1. What about 3? Is 3 a prime number? Great. 3 is a prime number. Can you think of any other prime numbers after 3? Perfect. So 3, 5, 7, 11 are all part of the prime factor family. Good job. Now with that in mind, we can now do some examples of the prime factorization. Now remember, at the end of the prime factorization, we want to have apples at the bottom for the squirrels. So our first number that we're going to do is, what do you think we should do? Great, I agree. I think we should do 48. Now, is 48 a prime number? Perfect. It is not a prime number. That's why we're going to dump the apples down at the bottom so the squirrels can eat. So 48 is not a prime number. It's not a prime number, but we want to do prime factorization to get all of its multiplicities of its prime number. Now, in order to do that, we're going to create a prime factorization tree. What does that look like? So we want to get 48 and we want to bring the apples down to the bottom. So let's go over some. 48. Can you think of any two numbers that you can multiply to get 48? Now remind yourself there's a lot of different numbers that you can multiply to get 48. But I only need 2. So what do you think we should use? You can use 6 and 8. You can use 2 and 24. What's another number we can use? Great, 12 and 4. But let's use 6 and 8. Now, you can choose to use any of the other factors that we talked about earlier. That would be fine. Let's try to do that so we can challenge each other to make sure we end up with the exact same apples at the bottom. Okay? So 6 times 8 gives us 48. Now we need to ask ourselves, is 6 and 8 prime numbers or not? Great, they're not prime numbers, so we have to keep going. So you're going to keep going until you get what at the bottom of the tree? Prime apples. Great. So 6 and 8. What two numbers can we multiply to get 6? Perfect. 2 and 3. What are two numbers we can multiply to get 8? Great. 2 and 4. So now we want to ask ourselves, is 2 a prime number? Yes it is. Good job. Since 2 is a prime number, it is one of the apples that is going to the bottom. Perfect. Now, is 3 a prime number? Great. 3 is not a prime number. I'm sorry, 3 is a prime number. Thank you for correcting me. So it's going to also go to the bottom of the prime factorization tree. Now, we've already said 2 was a prime number, so we don't really have to do that one again, but we do have to bring it down. Now, what about 4? Is 4 a prime number? Perfect, it is not. So we have to keep going with 4 because we need all of the numbers to be primes. So what two numbers can I multiply to get 4? Great, 2 and 2. So at the bottom of my prime factorization tree, you should end with 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. Perfect. And you can multiply those numbers together to just check, see if you get your main number, which is 48. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 3 gives us 48. And we missed that one in our prime factors, but we have it at the bottom. Perfect, good job. So, want to do another one? I think we can. What's another number we can do to multiply to do this prime factorization tree? Let's try 100. Perfect. So what two numbers can you multiply to get 100? Now remember, there's more than one answer, and we can challenge each other to make sure we have the same amount of apples at the bottom of the prime factorization tree. So what two numbers can we multiply? What do you think we should use? Perfect. I was thinking the same thing. 10 times 10, right? 10 times 10 gives us 100. Is 10 a prime number or not? Perfect. It is not a prime number, so we need to make it one. So what two numbers can we multiply to get 10? Great, 2 and 5. So now we have 2 times 2 times 5 times 2. 10 and 10 gives us 100. Now, is 2 a prime number? And I think we went over that one earlier. Great, it is. What about 5? Perfect, 5 is also a prime number. So at the bottom of our prime factorization tree, our apple numbers are 2, 2, 5, and 5. Check to see if you have the same amount of apple numbers at the bottom of your prime factorization tree if you chose to use 20 and 5. Great, so good job. Would you like to try another one? Let's do one more because 48 and 100 was pretty easy. So let's try another number. Can you think of a number? Perfect. We can go with 36. So what two numbers can we multiply to get 36? What do you think? Because remember, there's more than one number. Great, 9 and 4. I was thinking the same thing. So is 9 and 4 prime numbers? No, they're not. So we have to keep going. Because remember, at the bottom of our prime factorization apple tree, we need apples to be prime numbers. So what times what give us 9? Great, 3 and 3. What about 4? Perfect, 2 and 2. Now, is 3 and 2 prime numbers? Great, they are. We kind of discussed that one earlier. So you see, it's kind of getting a little redundant. So we're making sure that we're understanding this process. So our prime factorization apple tree for the number 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Good job. And remember, we can always multiply the prime numbers to see if we get the number at the top. So let's test that. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 times 3 gives us 36. Good job. Thank you so much for enjoying the day with us. We were talking about prime factorization apple trees. Remember, a prime number is great. It is a number that can be divided evenly, one and itself. Good job. Thank you.